Good evening. I'm Rudy El-Houri, Dean of the School of Architecture. I'd like to welcome you to our first installment in the Tecnoglass lecture series this spring. This is a sponsored series, and I would like to take a minute to thank Tecnoglass for sponsoring us in this. This is the 9th year that we are benefiting from their sponsorship that is allowing us to maintain the high standards and bring people from all over the world to present their work and share their ideas here with you. So we are very grateful for this sustained, continuous support we are getting from Tecnoglass. The sponsorship also allows us to deliberately craft and curate the lecture around a theme. And we change the theme each term. This spring 2025, Professor Lily Wong was tasked with the curation of the series. I'm going to invite her now to come here to tell you a bit more about the theme and the ideas that frame it, and also to introduce our speaker tonight.
Need to make it shorter. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Wong. If you haven't met me before, I'm the newish assistant professor here at the School of Architecture. My research is about architecture and plants or vegetal life. If this is something that you're interested in, I would love to talk with you. I always wear red, so you can spot me in the courtyard somewhere. So thank you, Dean El-Houri, and also our sponsors for supporting this lecture series. So architecture and vegetal life. So what is as well as planting as a form of empowerment. And I invite all of you to join our conversation after Sebastian's talk. Just for those of you who are online and also here who might need AIA continuing education credits, please email Shana Meyer. So now, let me introduce our speaker today, Sebastian Adamo. Sebastian is an architect and principal of Adamo Fiden, an architecture office established in Buenos Aires, Argentina in 2005 by him and Marcelo Fiden. The firm began their practice with small residential projects, and now they are working on an increasing diverse array of projects, including high-rises in central Buenos Aires and also social housing in Europe, as well as some projects in the United States as well. The firm has worked internationally, including South America, North America, and Europe, and across a range of programs and scale, and you will see many of those represented tonight. Their work is celebrated for their thoughtful approach to urban environments, their sensitivity to airflow, and also layering of plants that creates a continuous connection between inside and outside. Their work has been exhibited in many prestigious institutions and venues, such as the Venice Biennale, the Guggenheim Museum in New York, and also the Sao Paulo Architecture Biennial. They have published, as of today, 5 monographs, and they are featured in an issue of A+U last year. So in addition to practicing as an architect, Sebastian has also taught in many universities across the globe. In the United States, he has taught at Princeton, Columbia, and Harvard as examples. We are very fortunate today that Sebastian can come and share his work with us. And thank you all of you for coming. And I'm sure we will have a wonderful conversation. And after his talk, Professor Roberto Bahar is going to join me and Sebastian for a conversation. So stay around and we can further explore some of the questions that I mentioned. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lily, for your beautiful introduction, and thank you to all the school for the invitation. As I said before to the dean, I've been several times. Do you hear me fine? It's okay? Yep. I've been several times in Miami. Argentina, we have a strong connection with Miami, like I think most of Latin Americans do. But I've never been here like in an academic relationship. So it's the first time I see the campus, which is super beautiful. So I'm very, very happy for the invitation. Thank you very much. Okay. So talking about architecture and vegetal life is quite a challenge, even though at the office we manage that this triptych of things very often. I think these topics have a strong relationship between themselves, and we're always talking about how we relate with the architecture, with life and vegetal life. But we as architects, we always make these things very complex, and at the office, I think we have a strong relationship with the idea of making things strongly for the experience and strong in process, but not that much on the result of things. So when you invited me, Lily, to talk about this, I can say it was like quite struggling, you know, because it made me think about something that we often talk about and we problematize in the office, but not from such a direct point of view. Okay, we always think that we work with nature, and of course, talking about life, architecture, and plants is like a dissection of what nature is. I think nature is all that at the same time. When we talk about nature, we not talk about natural life as a vegetation. We talk about ourselves, about the planet, about the climate, about the built environment, so I decided to bring back a title I used 2 or 3 years ago in a lecture, which was about how we relate to that strong and direct, straightforward things that we manage at the office, and this play of words about dreaming and dreaming a pedestrian way of dreaming, how is something that is very connected to how we manage our practice at the office. I'm gonna be back on this through the project. So I wanted to start with one of our last build projects. It's a midweek house. It's a house for the weekends, but it's not the typical weekend house. This is a project that was started after the pandemic. Okay, so the pandemic bring us the possibility to have a relationship with nature very different. Okay, and this guy decided to build. He's a guy that lives in the city. He loves to be in the city, to have a civic life. As an urban guy, but through the pandemic, he started to feel that a way of escaping that it was very necessary, and the idea that you need a kind of architectural peripheral or architectural machine that makes you interact with that nature experience in a specific way was what we managed with the project. So the project is super straightforward. It's a built up of 3 or 4 technical systems, okay, that were all prefabricated in a workshop, and then assembled at the place. The relationship in this project with nature is something that we discuss a lot. This is a project we did together with the firm Arjo Frick. And the idea of how this guy maybe with a couple, with some friends, could experience the relationship with nature was what the axis of how we managed the design process. Here on the section you can see all the 4 systems. It's a precast concrete with 3 layers of shelters of filters. That one is the glass, then you have the mosquito fence, then you have the curtain. So you can, depending how you move these 3 layers of the house, it depends on how you want to relate to that landscape. So the house is super straightforward, direct organization. We use the whole length of the plot from one side to the other in order to make the thinner house we could. So each part of the house has the same relationship with the exterior. It's a symmetrical relationship with the exterior that when you see the plan, you can see that everything is the same, like it's kind of an indifferent positioning with landscape. But when you start to see that the one part of the house is facing the east and the other one is facing the west, so the relationship with the sun and the air is different, and you have this system in the borders that you have like a contract with the house that you have to activate the house if you want to survive. Then the relationship with the interior becomes very different. So sometimes the house, if you open completely, the house is like a tent, like a semi-covered space, and the feeling there is like that. And if you move the systems, you can be completely isolated, etc. And that relationship with the exterior, where the users, the individuals, the people have to take control of that, is something that is related to this project. This is a pavilion we just did for the University of Tella. It's a place that controls the climate for different activities of the students that can happen inside. Also, depending how you move the facade of the exterior, you can activate the relationship between the school, the university, sorry, and the street. So in this system, maybe the difference with the house is that the relationship between public and private becomes very, very important. Again, the plan and the section, you can see super simple, is a repetition of the same system. We trust that in this pragmatism, through this pragmatism, we can reflect a lot of interactions and we can explode different opportunities. So I love this ambiguous situation between a super straight and radical plan and this opportunity that can give you that simplicity. The system is made mainly with steel and glass, and depending how you move those glasses and you move the inner tent, you can take control of the climate through the year. Also, the idea of learning of learning from your own work, how we manage to discover like new typologies. In this case, it's a typology that can that let us control the climate. Also, it's interesting for us how a project that is mainly public and with a scale for a university can shift a little bit in the scale and make a transformation of the terrace of an apartment. Always, again, this is the aerial view of the building, and again, this is another type of public expression of the building. How the building can be transformed with this small piece of architecture on the top, and also. There is something about how these small projects are being built, which is something important, and the relationship between technology and the opportunity these projects brings. This is a veterinary. That is the transformation of an existing house that we did like a cut in the middle of the house. This scheme shows that. With the existing house, we decided to transform the interior in order to produce a place for dogs, cats, and the reception of the people that are going to the veterinary, and with the small parts of plastic metal sheets with tubes, with some cement also, working with them together to collaborate in this architectural scenario. Again, in this case, you can see that the position, the relationship with nature is very different. In this situation, we collaborate a lot with the doctor of the veterinary because he also chose the office because of the plants, because we work a lot with plants, and the relationship between the dogs and the cats with the plants is super important because they smell the plants, so they feel all very different when they are connected to that. So that's why we decided to introduce the plants inside the veterinary, but also as a way of how to compose, how to relate to the natures in terms of plastic form, you know. So when we saw that big tree in the middle of the plot, that was something that was super important for us because was part of what you see there was the first filter of this big space. not a big, even high space, sorry. And that's what was the first part of how to work that in a relation of form. So the plan is starts with that big tree in the front that is here. This big axis connects to the backyard that is, again, full of plants in the border. So the dogs get a little bit lost, so they get less nervous and they have a better experience. So in that connection, I was talking before about vegetal life, humans, architecture. In this building, we also got the challenge to work for animals, which is very, very, very different. So we can say that the veterinary ends to be like a machine that moves the air through the interior, that brings all that plants to the dogs, that interacts with all the places at the border, just making this also like a representation of how the dogs can and the animals can understand the building. Also, this house is related to that project, but in terms of organization, we also we also share in the office some research or investigation, or concerns, interest that jump from one project to the other. As you can see in this project, we are talking about how to move the air and how to bring other actors to the project, not only humans. Here we're talking about the relationship with animals, with veterinary, of course, but also we are talking about how we relate to plants, to nature, and how we relate to the climate. So this project is a project we did a few years ago, and the project is a redescription of a very antique typology, which is the Roman house with the courtyard, the patio in the middle. And in that Roman house, the courtyard was super important. Was the place that concentrates the water, that concentrates where all the rooms open and brings the air inside. Also concentrates the function, because all the rooms cross that courtyard to go to the other. But in this situation, and here, of course, we have that typological organization, but with a twist. The twist is about the update of the typology, how we can think, we can use a typological knowledge to bring to the present, to make a reinterpretation of it, and to use it as a material, okay? So the update is about contemporary life, how a family lives today. And in this case, we organized the pavilions, where one is for the entrance with the cars. The other pavilion is for the bedroom, master bedroom for the couple. They don't have kids. There is a main pavilion connected to the swimming pool that is facing the lake. That is an open space, maybe living room. We do asados, how do you call it here, barbecues and parties, etc. And then the other pavilion with a more for service, laundry, kitchen, etc. And when you want to cross that from one part to the other, you find this, that is, it can be like a winter garden, but it's not a winter garden because it's being built like in the exterior, and it's not a typological or archetype system. is that patio, is not that patio from the Roman house because it's covered, but it is a place that you have to cross, and here you don't have the same climate as in the interior of the other rooms that are with HVAC and are mainly controlled. This place is is disconnected, and the users made a contract with this place that they have to control the climate of this place in order to improve the relationship with the other rooms. When you close this space completely and you bring sun into it, this works as a place to gain temperature. So all the rooms beside this place, you can open the inside facade and take that heat into the rooms. Okay. Maybe that works for winter, or maybe later, like on the latest autumn, or the beginning of spring. And when you open all the windows and you open both windows of the small rooms, this works like a corridor of air that refresh the interior of the rooms. So that idea from the Roman house that the patio is the center of the climate control is in this case similar, but with a twist in the technological concerns that and also with a twist in the relationship between the humans and how we manage that climate. Also, the idea of working with the nature inside, with plants inside the house is another type of contract, because that's something important, because as architects, we can design beautiful places full of gardens, but then the users have to maintain those gardens, and they have to take care of that. So it's something that is very important, that the relationship between on the design process and how you design that process when you work with plants is not fixed to the end of the construction. It's also like a super extended relationship for the owner of the house for the future. Talking about plants, we always work with landscape designers, and we choose landscape designers that work with the nature of the place, trying to recover those landscapes that were disturbed by industry or maybe by, in this case, by who did the master plan, that they remove everything. So we work with the natural species. We have a collection of these projects. I'm showing the last of them. This house was part of it. This is a house that is in a typical plot of the suburbia in Buenos Aires. The house is with a very big pavilion for the living room. Also, a guy that does a lot of parties, and he wants that relationship with the exterior. And then another block on the entrance for their bedrooms, and a relationship with the garden where the swimming pool is like the main actor. The construction is again, it's like super straightforward. Maybe when I talk in English, I don't use the specific words. Sorry, but what I want to say is that we work a lot with the design process, but in order to make the construction project the easier we can, and also to bring. To bring more opportunities through the systems we use in the technical decisions we make. For instance, in this case, these curtains works very well for when you want to hide a little bit the house, or if you want to have some shadings, or open it if you want to connect directly with exterior. And in this situation that we work with the limits of the buildings, of the projects, like exploding these limits in different layers, is something that we've been working with for a while, and in these cases we also work with this in relationship to existing structures in order to transform an existing house, and those layers sometimes get with a larger space, so they become a space. Sometimes the glassing and the curtains are very, very tight, very near, so it's just a technical solution. But when you start separating them, they brings the opportunity to work with a space that is an in-between the two climates, the controlled climate of the interior and the exterior, and then you have one in the middle that is more ambiguous. Also, this system brings you the opportunity to make a different, to control the relationship that individuals want to have with the public space, or also to bring a space for nature, for plants, where because this is the type of climate you can develop in these in-between places, in these buffer zones, are super effective for plants. Also, the idea of making filters, how to work with these plastic sheets that you can filter the city and develop the city by parts, or bring also something that is very important in our latitude, that is the security, how to use how to make the security of these buildings, but in an architectural way, so you can protect the interior. This is a collection of other buildings we did, other projects, where we always have the same like techniques flying around, like working with plants, making these buffer zones, working with the non-specific of parts of the buildings. If you have the specificity that is the program of the interior, that is mainly designed by the client, that they say, okay, we want like a living room, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, then we also work with a layer that is not commonly designed in architecture, that is on the filter, on the division of those places that are out of the program. And the idea of bringing plants into buildings is something that is we find it super important in the urban context. You know, Buenos Aires is a city, and these buildings I'm going to show you are mainly in Buenos Aires. It's a city that is very friendly for plants, because it's very humid. We don't have strong winters. We don't have strong summers. We have like a champagne temperature, okay, but it's very, very easy with that. And there is like if you manage to work with nature in some way, nature can make it really, really fast. And also, I think that these strategies of working with plants make not the strategy as an individual office. This is, I think, it's an attitude between Argentinian architects or South American architects, I can say, that we work a lot with nature, and then the society start to desire that. So the people is very used to have their own gardens, to maintain their own gardens, to live with plants, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea of making this balcony is full of plants, it's only for plants, and becomes the filter of intimacy of a house in this case, or in this other case that is an office building, that is a filter where you get out and you can you can see the light filtered by plants, and they protect a little bit the border of the interiors, but they also bring some humid to the interior, and they also start to bring some other species like butterflies or pájaros, birds. So also this become like a place where to interact with those other actors of the planet that are animals. Okay, so that investigation or interest started to grow up to the moment where we designed this building that is mainly like a organization of plants connected to small apartments. The building is a small building with two parts, one to the front of the street and the other one to the back, with a small core where everything, all the services are connected. And the space in the front and in the back is really the last part, the last layer is mainly for plants. And the interior, we didn't decided to define a specific program. The building, but we studied some of them to bring some technical opportunities to the future users of the building so they can decide whatever they want to do with them. So the building is being used for domestic life, for Airbnbs, for there are some studios. There is also like a shop, like a bookshop on the third floor, and all of them finish their own interior design in the way they want, and they also we decided to design the landscape up to a 70%, leaving some other extra spaces for the users to decide whatever they want to do with them. These are some pictures of the apartment, of the domestic apartment. This is the bookstore on the third floor or fourth, I don't remember. And in this case, they decided to make the plants grow a lot because they need protection from the exterior sun. And this is an architectural office from a friend of us. This is what we the beginning of everything, how we deliver the architecture, because this is architecture that is part of the market. This is a project that is for real estate, okay? And we bring this to the market, and we show some in a drawings how they can bring their own maybe some strategies for organization to the interior. So we see as architects, we see this and we see, okay, this is super empty. There is no design. Rather, away from of course, from the balcony that is full of plants, the rest is like super empty. But sometimes it's about how to decide where to put a window, okay? How to put it, where to put some sockets for electricity, and where to leave some place for air conditioner. And those decisions that maybe are quite maybe stupid from something, or maybe too easy to take. If to take that is strong and take that very seriously in order to produce other different organizations, and the people, when they get there, they can make their own home or their own office with just 2 moves is something that is very important. And that concept of open architecture for different uses is something that we manage in other projects like this, where we had this place for mainly for offices and shops in a periphery, and you have this corridor with plants. So as we introduce these plants in the latest border of the units, we could have all these green, all these windows very big. So because the plants then gives you a lot of intimacy, and it gives you also a good relationship on the other side when you have the balcony. So the building is fully covered of plants. You can see there the connection of the corridor and the entrances to the units, and the difference between units and the scale is also something that is for future users to decide how they want to manage their own experience in the interior. Then all the rest of the decisions are very related to the economy and to bring more opportunities with the less we can build. And that idea of working with nature, as you can see, I've been showing you some projects, and we are growing on scale. And it's very different when you work with a house that you are very well connected to the earth and to the air. So the relationship between systematic repetition is very different. When you work in a building that you have like 3, 4, 5 story, that's also something different. But when you work with a tower like this, we needed to change a lot of our design techniques, or at least we need to make a twist to follow, because this was a commitment of a developer that they just wanted to us to do what we were doing, but not repeated by 20, you know? So it's not the same because we have a very big difference. The first difference is about how you relate to those elements that are very necessary, that is the floor, the soil, the ground floor, and the air, okay? Also, another big difference is how you build these buildings, that they have a different relationship with technology, they have different budget, they have different systems, okay? So this building is maybe a mix between how we experience our life related to the exterior, to nature, to plants, that we wanted to keep the idea of living in suburbia, but within within a compact building, okay? And the idea of how you build these towers that need repetition, they need systematic systems, systematicity. So the idea of thinking that this can be like a permeable curtain wall. The curtain wall is the most effective system to build towers. You can see that in Miami, that even office towers or condominiums are made of curtain walls and glassing. So the idea of covering the project with that system, but instead of having like a fixed system, can be a more complex system that can include like a window, a wall, an open balcony, and yes, we are building now. This is under construction. That's the mock-up on the workshop. They are now mounting all the facade, and this system is going to include all these different situations that let us have different relationship with the exterior. including some activities like having like a barbecue in the outside with plants that maybe is like a program that is more connected to house, but in this case, moving that experience to the air. So the plan is, again, works with that ambiguity or that dualism between being something compact, because of course, if it's a real estate development, you have to fulfill all the volume you can, okay? So it's a rectangle. And then we started to move the second layer to define all those terraces and patios that gives you the experience that you are you're living not in an apartment, but in a more house-like apartment. So you have all these connections with exterior, with the open kitchen, the gardening, there is hidden the barbecue outside. And then you have some other way, because the tower has some setbacks at the upper part. So we had the opportunity to have some terraces. So we did some duplex that you can have this relationship with the exterior, and all the exteriors are again with the for gardening, etc. Yeah, I'm going to hurry up, but there is only one project. On this, and this is also possible because this is a small tower. This is a tower of about 15 stories over the ground. So we could manage to bring all this gardening and to show how to experience this relationship between garden life and the high rise. But when we are doing this other commitment that is very different. This is a high rise in Buenos Aires. This is the downtown Buenos Aires. It's in the middle it's in the limit, sorry, of the most antique neighborhood, which is San Telmo, and the newest one that is Puerto Madero. So the tower is in the middle of these two situations, and is the end of a big system of parks that are the parks of the civic institutional buildings of our country, Argentina, with the presidential house in the middle, the male building in the other part, and all these green areas finish in our plot. So that's why we decided to extend the park and leave the tower in the other side. So the tower is an interaction that reacts to the different tensions that are in that area, which is a very different, it's a collection of the very different urban organizations. So the tower starts with some movements that are related to the older part with the lower part in the back. Then at the floor 13, that is the top of the front neighborhood blocks, we do that cantilever that reacting to that situation, and in the top we have like another movement to see the city, and you can see those green spaces. Those spaces are made for amenities because this is a housing building that is are about 500 units, so very small units. So we decided to make a more democratic way of how you use all the building. So in case you have your unit in the third floor or in the 12th floor, in the 20th floor, you can visit all those spaces that are for communal spaces, like this one here with the terrace, or this one with the cantilever, and this one with the terrace, with another terrace. So you can have a connection with the rest of the community here, the social connections, and every part of the building is has like an opportunity to see the city from a specific relationship with the architecture that we are designing with what's happening on the exterior. Well, I'm not going to do something there. So this is the collection of communal spaces that, so as the unit are very, very small, we have a collection of communal spaces, like a civic plaza in the ground floor, a lobby, which is, again is full of plants, bring the experience of the exterior to the interior and making that more softened to when you get into the building. Then you have a sports, or study places, etc. And how to design a tower building nowadays is very similar to how you design an office building, because the transformation of the interior is something that is like a very, very, very normal. So we decided to move the structure to the core and then to the exterior ring. Okay, that structure is what sustain the building and how the building moves in horizontal. So we leave all that inner space freely to have different typologies. As you can see, there are a lot of typologies, very different. Through the development of the height of the building, again, the tower interacts very different with the core, going down and up and having those movements there. Now this is a project we started to build like 3 years ago, where we are part of the construction design. We design all the malls and how the concrete was going to be poured there. And this system also gives us the opportunity to bring some detailing that was interesting for us for the facade. And also we designed like this very simple window that it has like with a very simple design. We could have the fixed glass, the open glass, and the rail. So with these different systems, you can also define how the home is from the interior. And now the construction is coming to an end, and now we are working on the painting of the building. You can see it's a type of tainted concrete that has some bright on the surface. So the tower is very different when you see it from the other side of the dock, or when it is related to some shadows and brightness of the trees, or when the sky is mainly with clouds. And we know that we are designing like this massive and very repetitive windows, etc. We think that the texture of the tower should be more activated and can bring some shadows and etc. I wanted to finish with the picture of the team, because now we are this is the team we work with, and anything can be nothing could be possible without them. So I want to finish with that. Thank you very much.
Sebastian, thanks a lot for your presentation. It was really amazing. It's so interesting to see the amount of work that you're doing and the quality that you're able to bring forward in all of them. I did a little bit of a homework before tonight, so I decided to dwell into your website and read a few of the short texts that you have in the website, and a couple of topics really I think you dwell upon in the presentation that maybe I would like to hear a little bit more about. And one that really struck me and that I see present in the buildings that you show us today is a question of imitation. And I think in an early text you speak about your interest, the interest of your firm in imitation and the value of imitation, if you wish. And in your presentation today, you kind of refer to that in a way within the work that you have done. I mean, it's a kind of self-referential imitation that happens over and over and over again, and yet you achieve a sense of difference in each of the work. Can you share with us the origin of the kind of imitation that you pursue and how it becomes part of the work?
Yeah. I think yes, it works. Yeah, okay. I think you're talking about a text we did is the work of others. And we are. That's how we met with my partner when we started to work together. We were students and we mainly work with the work of others, and that's it's not a tradition. It's like a system of work we have. That we are very skeptical about great ideas, about invention in some way. We think that to copy things is super creative to copy in architecture, because it's impossible to copy something perfectly. Okay, so and I think the idea of making a copy is a little bit underrated or not well seen in our discipline, because if you copy something, you are not the original. Okay, but I think that that's not intention. I think that we encourage our students and ourselves to study a lot, to start from others, and when you move forward in your design process, it's very easily to start moving from the original, because, for instance, we work a lot with modern architecture, but also with contemporary, and sometimes with other, like more postmodern or high tech, I don't know, whatever. And when you start from original, okay, this project works perfectly here, and you start working with that, we say, okay, but this is the original is in Paris, the climate is different, and it was like 60 years ago, and technology is different, our climate, and you start and now the client is asking for another thing. So it's very organic to make the difference when you start from there. So to synthesize, I think that, and I think that it's full of students here. Exactly, I would encourage the other architects to use the copy as a productive tool for design.
Yeah. Thank you.
So speaking about copying, I wanted to ask you about so in your earlier works, there are a lot of structure that basically one could say they are greenhouses. So that's traditionally, or it was, greenhouses were built to house plants, to keep plants warm in a temperate climate, especially tropical plants not from the same climate zone. You mentioned also that your office also are inventing different construction systems, different types of techniques of building. So I'm wondering if maybe the idea of a greenhouse is something that you might have copied, but then you are iterating that to now fit both plants or humans and pets. I wonder what are the modifications or how you calibrate kind of the new purpose in your projects?
I think that your question is very well connected to his, because we can talk about nowadays about winter gardens without talking about La Catonibassat. Okay, and we started to be fascinated about their works on how they manage the climate, how they manage the possibility of bringing a lot of air with very cheap construction. Okay, and the redescription of what luxury could be. Okay, so those concepts are directly stolen from them, and I am very grateful to say that. But at the end, I think they work with winter gardens because they bring the typology into the building. But that's not what we do, because we are not working with the archetype. Okay, we're working with different solutions that can be related to the winter garden, but then are part that is cohesive to the project itself, okay? And that's another position in terms of aesthetic also, okay? Because we are not working with something that you buy in a catalog and you put it there. We are building and designing it and changing some things, and also that gives some other opportunities and limitations, okay? Because I think that maybe if we model how the climate is being used or managed in a winter garden, it's more effective, and of course are designed for plants, so are industrial construction that are mainly functional, and in our case are not that way. So we make some like when you work in architecture. We are not like engineers, so the function of things and how things work is part of the thing. So we make like an equilibrium between aesthetic ambitions, negotiations with the client, the constructor, technology, etc., and that's the result is what is there. So there are some arguments or concepts or techniques that are from the winter garden that is mainly for plants. But as we work it as an architecture project and more freely in some way, I think we take some distance from that original.
I mean, you're referring to, I mean, I find very interesting. You mentioned something about the question of prefabrication, and maybe you can share with us the differences between what one may think of prefabrication in the north versus the south, because the way that at least I saw your project, there is a degree of craftsmanship that is very, very present in the apparent industrial elements that you bring from the shop, let's say. The catalog that you referred to just a minute ago, that doesn't really exist.
I think as we live in a less industrialized latitude, okay, which brings lots of problems in some questions like economy or development, etc. But it brings you some other opportunities in terms of craftsmanship, because you can design those things that are not part of a strong defined market. Okay, so I know I've been teaching here in the States, and I know that the industry is like super huge, and you have a lot of things you can choose by catalog, but it's very difficult to do craftsmanship here nowadays. So yeah, that's part of the.
Even the software lead you. Sometimes I was discussing with my students today that sometimes the software, like Revit versus AutoCAD, and the libraries kind of lead you into a solution that in fact is not yours. You have not designed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that none of these buildings could be done here, and mainly the small one, the smaller one, because and it's very difficult to start a practice here in some way, because the distance you have when you begin with the craftsmanship and something that is on the hand, also the strong economy is very difficult for that. So I think that the small projects have a very strong distance from this latitude to ours. And I think mainly because we also work in Paraguay, Chile, in Uruguay, Peru, Brazil, and it's very similar. So I think there's a big difference between Latin America and Europe. We're working in Paris, and the quantity of regulations you have for the enclosure of a building and the carbon, which is perfect. And I in some way, I shown that in some, because the responsibility is very important. But in terms of design opportunities, is quite difficult. When you work with big buildings, it's different, because you have a different relationship with the industry. Okay, but yeah, I think the difficulty in terms of professionalism is to make the jump, how to work with craftsmanship, and then how to work with catalogs and do architecture. For instance, the tower is our biggest project. It's full of everything is part of a catalog in some way. Yeah, and as for
with the exception of the wall, the outdoor wall, no?
But that's concrete.
That's concrete, I know, but that's something that you guys have designed, isn't it?
Yeah. But we have the opportunity. You can design with catalogs. In that case, we designed the mold.
Exactly.
And as the mold was going to be repeated like several times, it could be designed.
Exactly.
Also, the windows were imported from here, from Alcoa, from the States. And we have to design the interface with the wall. So that's an opportunity to make a shadow and to work on that. So there are opportunities when you work on that, but I think it's mainly it's a problem. It's an economical problem. When you work with and you have to buy 2,000 windows. Okay, let's talk. Yeah. You can design the border. If you want to buy 4 windows, you have no chance to make anything different. So the opportunity to work with craftsmanship and with people like more directly in Latin America is like the work on concrete or with metal is something that is a real opportunity for young practice.
Great.
I think now is a good time to open up to the audience. Does anyone have a question?
Hi. So a lot of the projects, especially the smaller scale ones, alternate between a spectrum of city to rural landscapes. What different considerations do you take when designing, especially in terms of like visual life, to tie back to the theme, in urban versus rural spaces? Several of the apartment buildings made it a point to bring the garden into apartment life, but how do you bring more of that like rural life into the city through the vegetation that you use?
Yeah. Well, there's a big shift when we work on urban spaces, urban architecture, that we try to introduce urban in very small places like the balcony or the terraces, or we invent some part, or with the veterinary show, there are some plants inside the building. So everything when you work in the urban grid is dense. Okay, so we try to put plants and and it's also, we work with the desire of the people that live in the city to live connected to plants. So in some way we try to bring something from the suburbia to the urban life. And when we are on the opposite, when we work on the suburbia, I think we do the opposite also, because the green is what everything is full of plants and nature. So we try to bring something from the urban to the suburbia. In some way, I think, and I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think that we are trying to acercar, to bring closer the difference between those radical attitudes of the urban life and the suburban life, and trying to be quite skeptical that, to bring some skepticism that the suburbia is natural or is vegetal, which is not, because it's full of design and smog, and it's full of infrastructure and infrastructural effort, etc. And also to be skeptical of the idea that the city is gray and full of infrastructure, because you can also think that nature can be part and vegetation can be part of the city. And specifically in Buenos Aires, that is a very green city, that's also a very good opportunity to establish a new relationship between the city and nature.
Does anyone else have a question? So thank you so much, Sebastian, and also thank you, Professor Beher, for
Yes, thank you.
moderating.
Yes.